Hey guys, this is my last round game against Sai Santosh Gyana in National Under 14 earlier this year. This time I was at 7 on 10 and I needed one more win to qualify in the top 20 with 8 on a level out of around 670 people or something. So this was a massive game for me, and well, before you go ahead, let me just warn you, this game is absolutely ridiculous. Just the amount of tactics and just how savage this game is, you will not find a crazier game than this. Back then I was a 1608, now I'm 1879, and my opponent was a 1537. And well, let's begin. It started off with a normal royal pace, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a5, knight f6. Here I opted for my favorite setup, d3. This is the Morphy setup. The main line goes castles, and here you sacrifice the e5, e4 pawn for activity. Instead I went for d3, the Morphy defense. This is very solid. After bishop c5, castles, bishop b5, b3, d6, bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, bishop g4, and this is like all a part of the main line. The main part and the main like point of white in this variation is knight bd2, rook e1, knight f1, knight e3 or knight g3, and then knight f5. So this is how you play this setup. You can sometimes go a4 or c3, and yeah, this is just how you play this. It's a very solid structure and it's pretty safe for white. Well, not in this game though. c3, g5, bishop g3, and g5 is a very aggressive move and he really just wants to go after me. After queen d7, knight bd2, I actually got afraid after the move h5, because now after h4 my g3 bishop gets trapped because there are no squares to go to, and thus h4 was a very strong threat. Here I had only two moves to reply with, h4 or h3. So here I preferred h3, because if I go h4, then after h4 there is g into h4 and he gets the rook g8 file, and I just thought it's very dangerous. So instead I went h3, he went h4 in reply, and this was something I did not even calculate. I just thought he's gonna go back bishop e6 or something like that, but then h4 and I had to go bishop h2, because if I take this after h into g3 I'm basically dead, because this bishop does not let me take f into g3. And yeah, this is crazy. Now he just goes queen g4, queen h5, and queen h1. So crazy, and it would just be over for me. So instead I went bishop h2 over here. He went bishop h5, he backed up, and here I needed to play d4, sacrificing a pawn just to like open up the position a bit and then take just get some type of counterplay here. Instead I went for a4, the classical break in the setup, and he replied with b4, and now he just closes everything up. And rook e1 was a blunder from me, and here he came with g4, and this strike was just very suffocating for me. I had to take, and now he went knight into g4, the f2 pawn was hanging, the rook g8 file was open now for him to take, and I was basically dead over here. Only move to protect the f2 pawn, rook e2. Had I have gone rook f1, it would just be a repetition of moves making no sense. And rook e2, and here he went long castles, and now I went bishop d5, just so that I can take this and go rook c1 at some point of time and get the knight b3, so that I can attack this bishop and somehow take it. Here he went rook dg8, very logical move. Now my king is so unsafe, I had no clue how to defend it. Bishop c6, queen c6, and d4. The main point of taking the c6 knight was to play d4, and I managed to do that. And by playing d4, I get rid of this very annoying pin of a7 to g1, and now my pawn can capture on g3 whenever a rook or anything comes there. Now I took and he took, and I played b5. This was an inaccuracy. The point of b5 was that if he had taken, I would have taken, and then this bishop was under fire. In fact, over here, even if he went queen b7, I would not have not played rook into a7, and the point is that this bishop is way too strong, and when I get rid of it, I have no problems in my position. So instead, of this happening, he just went queen d7 and the problems remain the same. I went queen b3, which was kind of a blunder, and my point was b into a6 and queen b7, but here he just played knight into h2, king into h2, queen g4, all forced. Now I have to defend with rook g1, and here he missed a very important move which would have simply killed me on the spot. d3. So this is a super aggressive and very important move, because the point is, when I do take this, black has an amazing move, bishop into f2 and queen g3. Okay, so these are two absolutely crazy moves. If he takes bishop into f2, then he takes queen g3, king h1 and h3, and I am basically dead. And if not bishop into f2, he can straight away over here after queen d3 play queen g3 check, sacrificing a queen just like that. Can you imagine? Just sacrificing a queen for free. When I take it, he takes it back. King wherever it goes, king h1 or king h3, just bishop into f3, check and mate. So this is a very crazy line which he could have opted for. And after queen g3, in fact, if I go king h1 as well, he can just take bishop into f2. I mean h3, hg2, everything is coming. I was just absolutely dead in this position, and I just managed to survive all this, and d3 would have just killed me on the spot. But instead he went queen to f4 check, which was not that good of a move. Now I just backed up, and after a5 I played queen d3, and now d3 is not possible. So a bit of a sigh of relief here. And then after bishop b6 I played rook e1, and the idea of this was that I go rook c1 and try to get some sort of counterplay. And also like another point was to unpin my knight from this nagging pin yet again. Here though, you cannot imagine what he played. Rook to g3, just sacrificing a rook for free, and I have no reply whatsoever to this absolutely ridiculous move. The point is, when I take f into g3, h into g3, and it's a mate in 4 which is unstoppable. Okay, I have to go knight h2 for that, but bishop f3 is basically unstoppable. It's a check and mate. I have no clue how my opponent calculated this absolutely ridiculous move, but well, I was freaking out. I thought, okay, now I'm safe from d3, but now rook g3 as well, and I thought I'm just doomed in this game. I went rook c1, and here I was just trying to double up or do something, but here he made a massive blunder, queen g4. All that he had to do was bishop into f3, knight into f3, and h3. After this, when I do take fg3, he has h into g2 or queen into g3, and now whatever I do, either h into g2 is mate, or queen, or if you take this, then queen h3, knight h2 and queen h2 is mate. And boy, I was so dead and like just done for over here. Thankfully he did not take bishop f3, and here he blundered. Like, this was a crazy blunder, queen to g4. This is a ridiculous move. I mean, it makes no sense. Okay, here you're thinking of moves like h3, you're thinking of moves like bishop to f3, or you're thinking of moves like just backing up your rook somehow, but he just goes ahead and says, okay, sorry, but he just goes ahead and says, okay, I don't care about the rook, I'm just playing a ridiculous queen g4, which makes no sense. I take it, he takes, and now, unlike last time, I have rook e1, because when I played rook c1, this allowed my rook to move out, which allows my king to escape. So now after check, king g1 and queen h5, at that point of time it would have been check and mate for me, but now I have king to f1, and after queen h1 check, knight to g1. And this defense is what was needed to save this position. Here he went e5, and again there's a lot of pressure. Even though I am rook up, this position is not over. I take queen into g3, d3, okay? And had I have done some random move, like, just played anything, just queen into g1, checkmate. Can you imagine just how crazy this game was? I did not miss the mate, but I had no other move. Here the engine suggests the absolutely crazy move, rook into c7 check. Now after bishop into c7, rook to c1, and now this is winning for me. But at that point of time, it was a 15-minute game, and I was under so much pressure that I could not calculate this sacrifice. Instead, I went rook to e3, allowing him to take my sacrifice, and I'll still be a piece up though, and I'll try to consolidate despite the less number of pawns. That was my idea, but he just took d into e4. He's like, rook de rahe ho. I don't care about your rook. I am here to checkmate you. I'll give up all my pieces, but I just want to mate you. This is what the motive of Sai Santosh was in that match. And d into e4 was a blunder because I got knight to c4, and now he has to move his bishop away. So he goes bishop d4, and here again I missed an absolutely killer move, b6. This would have been curtains for black, or like just immediately, because if he takes, then the knight is just gonna mate you somehow, like knight knight a5, then queen c7 is coming, rook c7 is coming. Actually, even better than knight a5, there's knight to b6, and after king b7, queen c7, and this is mate in 6 after another astonishing move, knight d5. Okay, but I am not an engine, I'm sorry, so I did not calculate the crazy b6. Instead, I went for the more human knight into a5, attacking the c7 pawn, threatening checkmate, and here he goes bishop b6 to defend it. And now I go back knight c4 because my knight is under fire. He goes bishop d4, saying, come on, let's repeat moves. But now I pushed a5. Here I should have played b6. That was a mistake of me. From me, a5, and my point was that I'm just going to go b6 now, or I'm going to go a6 and a7. So that was the point behind a5. Interesting move. And after rook h5, I went knight d6. Knight b6 would have been game over again. Again, missed opportunities. King d7 and knight into e4, and rook e5, knight f6 check, king d8, knight d5. And the crazy thing about this position is that rook e5 is just so like crazy. Like, I cannot take rook into e5 ever because queen g1 is checkmate. Can you imagine? Like, when he played rook e5, it was just like a tempting thing. Okay, you go and take the rook. Oh god, I'm just losing now, you're giving it away. No, he's checkmating me. So I had to just come back, and then he pushed d2, and again I was under so much tremendous pressure because now my rook is under fire and his bishop also gets activated. So if you look at this position, I move my rook, and now there's the crazy bishop to d3 takes and queen to g1 mate. But again, I had the sigh of relief with king to f2, and I'm not getting mated right now. And for a while I thought there is nothing, and he took rook into d5 here. He could have gone for something like rook to f5, and then I don't know what I would have done. Maybe knight f3 takes, then try for some like queen e7 and stuff, or I don't know. But here he went rook into d5, I went check here, and queen e7 checkmate. Look at this beauty. Absolute gem of a game, an absolute gem of a mate. I have no clue how I survived this absolute harassment. I was getting killed like 50 times in the game. I would have lost on the spot all the time. And just to conclude, look at our astonishingly terrible ACPLs of 84 and 101. This was a ridiculous game with a ridiculous ending and a ridiculous escape. That's all I'd say. Thank you.